we've been listening into the sentencing hearing for Colt Gray. This is the teen that was accused in the Appalachia High School shooting, that horrific shooting that took the lives of 2 students and 2 teachers. He has taken a plea deal in this case. So we are now within the sentencing hearing. For the last hour or so, Colt Gray's grandmother was on the stand, starting with the defense that called her to the stand and then a cross-examination from prosecutors. 11 Alive's Marissa Sarbak was inside of the courtroom. She's joining us live now as they are on a 10-minute break. Marissa, this is a case you've been following very closely since shots rang out 2 years ago at Appalachia High School. Now we are in this sentencing hearing. Really interesting testimony from Colt's grandmother, even her at one point taking fault, saying that she is one of the biggest ones to blame here for his actions. What are we learning from this, and what do you think what weight will this have on the sentencing for Colt?
It's hard to say, Faith. I know that moment stuck out to me too, just when the grandmother was kind of taking accountability, saying she felt she might be the most guilty in this situation. Another thing, Faith, that I thought stuck out was when the prosecutor just asked the grandmother, which is Marcy's mother, whether or not she thought that Marcy and Colin were terrible parents. She said, I don't know if I'd say they were terrible parents, but they were close to it. Of course, we know Colin is behind bars now for his role in this mass shooting at Appalachia High School in 2024. Also today, earlier in court, we heard some of those jail phone calls between Colt when he was just 14 years old when he committed this with Marcy, his mother. They were speaking on a recorded line. Unclear whether or not they realized it was a recorded line at the time that the DA could actually hear what they were discussing. But Colt was telling her about the comparisons between him and Adam Lanza and Nicholas Cruz, other former school shooters. And Marcy was making those comparisons herself. And I do want to read this because this was a note we had from court earlier where Marcy was saying, apparently they can get audio of you talking to school shooters. We haven't talked about anything, I don't think, but I don't want them to think that I'm encouraging you to keep murdering. That is a statement that we heard from Marcy over, again, one of those recorded phone calls. Another thing, Marcy was coaching him on what he should say. So I think in the beginning when they were having these phone calls, they did not realize that they were recorded and that people had access within the jail to that. I think it was kind of clear that throughout that time, Marcy realized that people were able to listen in on these phone calls. But it really was her seemingly like coaching him through this. So very odd and really chilling phone calls and information. This isn't necessarily anything new either. We did hear from Colt himself yesterday. He was making those comparisons to people that he wanted to be compared to, Adam Lanza and Nicholas Cruz, also James Holmes, the Aurora movie theater shooter. So just really, really interesting details coming out just over the last couple of days. This really, Faith, feels like a mini condensed version of a trial at this point. And at this point, all we have left, we're waiting on this 10-minute recess, 10-minute break, but all we have left is closing arguments at this point before the judge makes a decision whether or not Colt will be behind bars for life, without parole, or with parole.
And that was going to be my next question to you, Marissa. Can you clarify, do we know if we're expected to find out his sentencing today?
Faith, sorry, if you are talking to me, I don't think I can hear you.
Court hearing right now. Something very important to note that she said, if you're following this case, this is not a trial. Colt has already taken a plea deal. He's pleading guilty to this. So what this is, this is a sentencing hearing. The judge taking into account the testimony we just heard from his grandmother, as well as those who have spoken previously. Colt not going to take the stand. That's what we just learned before they went into this break. We'll be checking in with Marissa later as she continues to follow this and answer that question on if we will find out that sentencing. Right now, we do know that what is being put before him, life in prison, but will that be with parole or without parole? That is what the judge will have to decide. He did take this plea deal, however, to avoid the death penalty.